Welcome Tech Brothers. Now in this video we are going to learn about linked services and data sets in Azure Synapse, and finally we'll be actually using copy data to create the Synapse pipeline to read the data from one of our CSV file and write to the dedicated SQL pool table. So let's take a look on the definition first and then we go from there. So what is a linked service? A linked service is like a connection string used by the Synapse to connect to the external sources. It stores the credentials and connection details required to access the service such as ADLS Gen 2, SQL database, blob storage, Synapse SQL or REST APIs. Now, common linked services that we create is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, Azure Blob Storage, Azure SQL Database, Synapse SQL Pool, REST API endpoints. So in just normal or easy words, it's a connection to your source. That's the linked service. Or I will say not just the source, it can be also a destination. So maybe we are reading the data from ADLS Gen 2 and writing to the another ADLS Gen 2, or maybe we are reading the data from SQL database and writing to the blob storage. So it can be linked service is a connection to source or a destination that you can use at any time to read or write the data. Okay, so steps to create a linked service, we will go and create those in the pipeline. I will show you those. And what is the data set? A data set is a reference to the data structure used by the activity, copy or lookup, such as it defines the schema, file format, location of the data being read or written. So you are making a connection to maybe CSV file or maybe to JSON file. You are using maybe Parquet files in ADLS or blob. So you are maybe reading delta tables, So you do the connection to specific to that table or file is called the data set, and we will get to that how to create them. Now in this example, you have JSON data sets like linked to ADLS Gen 2, path is this one, and there is a file. So this connection or data set will be pointing to this orders.json file. So in the Parquet, you will be like, hey, going all the way to the year where and making this connection till here and reading all those files what's present under this folder. Now in the Delta dataset used in Synapse pipelines with the Delta support. So datasets are the pointers to the table or the files, and linked services are the the connection strings to your source or destination. So let's take a look on some best practices. Parameterize the data sets for flexibility across environments. So you want to do that because let's say the input file name changes, so you want to handle those, and using a naming conventions for linked services and data sets such as ls, so linked services, and then provide the source type such as ADLS Gen 2 or say ls SQL server or something like that. And data sets probably start with ds and then provide the table name or file name, so it is easy to read because you are creating a lot of objects. Avoid embedding credentials using managed identity or key vault. So when you're creating the link services, don't use the credentials because then you will be deploying these pipelines to the production or QA or test, and then you have to change all those things. So rather use a managed identity or a key vault to store the sensitive information such as username and passwords that you will use in the linked services. Okay, use datasets preview to validate the paths and formats. So you can use the preview tab, and you will be able to look on the path and formats if everything works as expected. So let's go ahead and perform a demo here. So I'm going to create the pipelines and all these objects later on in the other videos as well. But here, first of all, I want to show you a few things. We are going to go ahead and use some built-in tool that will kind of walk us through all the steps, so it will be easy to start with that one, and then we will go and create a very basic pipeline later in the video. Now if you click on the data, and here is my dedicated SQL pool, and you can see that I have tables here. I use this table, so I'm creating this table called the DBO customer heap, and now I have customer ID, first name, last name, and then I'm distributing this by round robin, and I'm using a heap because I don't want any index on this one. So if I run this, it's going to create a table here. So you can see right there the table is there. Now what I want to do, I want to read the data from a file and write to this table. So if I will go back to linked here, and this is my ADLS Gen 2, if I go to the right here in the container, what happened in the container, I have this input folder, and input folder has files such as customer CSV. If I click here then preview, you can see that I have customer ID, first name, last name, and this is the same columns I have used to create the table. So if you go right here, you can see customer ID, first name and last name. Now we are all set with the table definition, and we also know which file we want to read, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this pipeline. I'm going to go to integration tab here, then I'm going to use the plus sign. So if you see right here, I have pipeline, linked connection, copy data tool, and browse gallery and all that. I'm going to use copy data tool here because this is going to create the pipeline, but it's going to be a wizard for me to just select the items and keep moving next. This is easy for a person, but to create this way first time, and then you can create a pipeline later on from scratch as well. So you see there, this is going to create the pipeline, but it is asking us source, so it is asking us destination and setting and review and finish, so pretty much all of them. So what we are going to do, we are going to do built-in copy task. You will get a single pipeline which is capable of smoothly copying data from over 100 different sources. Yes, that's fine. Run once now, or schedule, or tumbling window. So I'm gonna go run once now. Once we complete that setting, then we will run it. So here you see that it is asking me data source, and specify the data source for the copy task. You can use existing data source connection or specify a new data store. Now here data type, I'm going to select my data type, and if you guys remember that this is the container, this is my ADLS Gen 2 storage, that's what we have right here, and that's where my data is sitting. So in the container you see that we have input folder, and that's where the file is, the customer file. So this is my ADLS Gen 2. So I'm going to go ahead and select scroll down a little bit, and here is the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. I selected that, and now I'm going to go ahead and either I have to create a new connection or I can use the existing one. So it's my choice. So let's say we create a new connection, and we call this one TechBrothers LS. Okay, I'm going to say LS underscore. So if you see right here, this is our linked service. So we are providing a connection to our storage. So I call this one LS TechBrothers, and then it is asking me, hey, authentication type, whatever you want to use. We can use system assign authority, and then I have to provide subscription, and then storage account. In this case, I know that this is a storage account where my files and everything is sitting. So all good here, and then I'm going to go ahead and create this linked service. Our linked service is created, and you can see that I have given a name called LS TechBrothers, and now it is asking me file or folder. So where exactly is my file or folder? I can provide a simple folder here, and then it has a binary copy or recursively, and enable partition discovery and all that, and maximum connection if I want to increase the connection. But for copy activity, for me, I'm going to go with the default. It's just for 4 DTUs, I believe that's what it is. So let's browse to our file, because we want to have only one file. We don't want to read all the file from that folder. So I'm going to go to input folder here, and then I'm going to call this one customer CSV. So let's use that one, and this is actually, when we are selecting this file here, it is actually creating our data set. So now we hit next, and then what's going to happen, it has collected all the information about our source. Now it is asking, hey, tell me what is the file type. So it is a delimited for text, so we know that. And if I can go ahead and preview the data, I have customer ID, I have first name, last name. You can go to schema, take a look on that one. So that works just fine for me. I'm going to close this, and now no changes I'm going to make here because it's already comma delimited, and the row delimited is the line feed. First row has header, yes, that I already have selected. No compression, and everything looks good. You want to change according to your file type, and that's very good. And make the changes and go and click next. Now here's we are going to select our destination, and if you go to the destination, you see we have all different destinations available here. In my case, it's a dedicated SQL pool, and that's what I want to use. So I'm gonna navigate to it. Actually, my eyesight is pretty weak, so I'm gonna go ahead and type it here. So under the Azure, you see that Azure Synapse dedicated SQL pool. Now in this case, it's asking me, fine, I see this is your destination type, make a connection. So it is already TechDB DP, that's my dedicated pool is already there, so it is giving me that to select. So I selected that now. Now it is asking me, hey, you want to create a new table and give a DBO schema and then table name, or and it will auto create. No, I don't want to create because I already have one. So I'm going to go ahead and select the table, and here is my customer heap table that I want to use. Now skip column mapping for all tables, and if you are loading multiple tables, let's say you could have a source that could be SQL database, and you will be reading those different tables, and then you will be writing to different tables. You can map them or skip. But here it's a single file and a single table. Now we can hit next, and then you see here it is a table mapping. Now we have source here and destination. This is our source, ADLS Gen 2, and then we have a table in a dedicated SQL pool. Now you can see that I have a customer ID string going to the integer. It will be able to convert, not a big deal. And then here we have a first name, last name, and varchar. So that's fine. I don't have to worry about this conversion. It is going to be an explicit conversion automatically happen. But in case you need to do that, then you have to understand how to do conversions and all that. So that's a different step from here. Now, if you want to run some script, it says pre-copy script. Maybe in this case, let's think about that. If I want to truncate table first and then run my code, that's fine. You can do that as well. So here you will say simply maybe truncate table and the table name, and that's all it will do. Okay, now we are not doing all those steps here, and hit next. And now you have copy methods available. Here is the task name, so that's your pipeline name here, and I'm going to call this one PL pipeline, and copy customer data. Okay, now this is going to be CSV to dedicated DP dedicated pool. Fine. Now you have some errors information, and you want to like, hey, skip incompatible rows, skip missing files and all that. You can select all, but we are fine here. I'm just gonna leave the login, everything as is. Now you have copy command, you can use it, or you can do bulk insert. If you want to do upsert, that's possible as well. But in my case, I'm going to go ahead and use the bulk insert, and now bulk insert table locks, no. Yeah, you want to lock it or no? I'm just going to leave to no. Maximum data integration unit auto. In this case, when copy activity runs, what happens? It select the integration units. So you are charged for a number of DIUs. So that's our data integration units. Copy duration 0.025 per DIU per hour. So let's say you have very small file and it decided to use 4 DIUs, then just think if it runs for 1 hour, then it's going to be around $1, because 1 DIU per hour is at 0.25. Now you can always go ahead and calculate. This is the formula, number of DIUs multiply copy duration, and this is the amount. And the degree of parallelism, in our case, we don't really need it, but you can always provide the degree of parallelism, so that helps to load in parallel. But in my case, I have a single small file, no problem at all, and I'm fine with the auto. So let it select, mostly it is going to select 2 for my task. Now we are going to go ahead and hit next, and then guess what, it's given us this is a summary. It is telling you reading the data from ADLS Gen 2, writing the data to that dedicated SQL pool, and the name of the pipeline, and this is my connection for my source. So this is my data set name. Remember that we were creating the data set to the table to the file, so I could have given a proper name, anyways I didn't, but you can always go back and give the name. So let's say if I will say DS customer CSV. Okay, now save, and then guess what, now we have this is a true CSV reading, and here is my destination, that's my TechDB DP, that's my connection for that, and here is my destination data set. So I'm going to call this one customer heap. Okay, that's my data set for my destination table. That's a table name, save it, and now you can see that it's going to be copy settings, timeout, and all that is there. 12 hours. I think we are good. We don't have to do much over here, and we can hit next. What it is doing, it is validating copy runtime environment now. Now it is creating data sets, and then it's going to go ahead and create the pipeline, and now pipeline is created, and finally it is running the pipeline. Now if we go back, we can go edit pipeline, monitor from here, and all that. Let's go to monitor first, and here is our pipeline, and it just executed. So if I go to my pipeline here, that's pipeline, and here is my monitor, and that's my pipeline. I can click right here for more details, and it's going to show me all those different steps. So it tells me, hey, the total data read is 85, then total file read, total rows read, peak connections, and then the data written, and all that is there. So you can see some information is there, that's helpful. It tells you it is successful and use Azure I or regional East US. So that's my computer that ran my copy activity for this task. Also you can see right here some information. This is your kind of input, and it tells you and all the information your input, and then here is the arrow is for the output. So it tells you that information, DIUs, the rows, and the peak connection, and all that. But this glasses sign, this is really helpful, and this tells you on both sides, left and right. You can see the source and destination as well. Okay, let me close this. So you went to monitor, and then you went to pipeline runs, and that's where you're going to see the pipeline runs. You can see it took 20 seconds, and the successful and original run is that's all done. If you provide the parameter, then it will show you values. Now let's go back here and take a look. If we go back to this integration tab, and remember we have created this pipeline, and this was part of all that template we were creating. It has added this pipeline. Before I show you like pipeline is completed successfully, let's take a look on the table. I want to show you data is written successfully. So let's go to the our workspace, and here is my TechDB DP. And now we have this table here, heap. I'm going to go ahead and select some data. It should have 4 records or 3 records. You can see right there, there are 4 records. Great. Now what we can do, I can take you back to my pipeline here. And if you click on this pipeline and go to the sync source here, and here you are seeing all that information. So this is our data set. That is a source data set we created. If I open this one, it tells you linked service. So this is our linked service that we created, and we can edit. You can take a look on more detail, name, and all those authentication and everything. And here is I'm going to cancel this out, discard changes, no big deal. And I'm going to go back here, and now if I go to sync here, you can see that this is my data set pointing to my heap table. So the data sets are pointed to your actual table or your files, and then linked services are pointers, actually the connection strings to your main database or file system. So here if you see right there, this is our data set. Now if you go to mapping, mapping shows you the mapping, and then settings, this shows you all the setting we have for this one. If you see this pipeline, we have only one copy activity that we use to load the CSV data from our input customer file to the our heap table. Let me go ahead and add more records. So in this case test Amir, and then I'm going to go ahead and write another record and say find test 2 and test 2. So if you notice that I'm adding 2 more records here, and I can go ahead Now first time when we executed this pipeline, that was part of the template, it got completed and it executed. Now in this time I went to this integration here, this is pipeline, and now I can go ahead and say debug here, and it's going to go ahead and run. When you are developing your pipeline, you are going to use a debug, but mostly you will be using an add trigger that you will schedule the pipelines. So if you see right there, this is a queue right now at the moment. So your IR, that computer, once that will be assigned to it, it is going to go ahead and execute for us, and then it's successful now. Now we can go back to monitoring again, and in the monitoring you will see triggered or debug. If I'm developing the pipeline, I will be probably debugging, and that's where I can see the execution of this pipeline, and I can take a look, and it is a 6 records read and written to the file. Now if I go back on the pipelines tab here, if I have scheduled to run them on triggers and all that I can use from there, or if I have even a trigger by using say a trigger now, that will also I will show in the this tab in the monitoring. So if I will go right here in the monitoring, so triggered or debug. So see right there, now we just triggered our pipeline and it's running, and then you can see from here it is running. Okay, that's completed successfully. Now what we can do, we can go back here and take a look on the table, and let me see where my script is. If I run it now, I will have more records because the first time I executed those records, and you can see now I have test and test 1 and all that because I executed my pipeline multiple times. So this is how you will create your pipeline by using a copy data tool. So under the hood, it is creating a pipeline for you. You are not doing much, you are just following those templates, and then it's going to create this pipeline, save it here in the pipelines. You can always come and then you can schedule or run debug or whatever you want to do with that. So I thank you very much for watching this video. Please subscribe my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.